Hi Gemini, here is a general look at your solar chart for February 2016, and every year at this time the sun comes into another air sign, so that is usually pretty good news for you. And until the 19th the sun is in a very outgoing, expansive area, tends to boost the spirits, gives you more enthusiasm for the potential of what is there. But your ruling planet Mercury, along with Venus, which again is good news, is in a more introspective sort of mood up until the 14th and the 17th respectively. So Mercury until the 14th is in an area to do with planning, weighing things up, figuring things out, sussing, sounding out, strategies, research. It's also an area to do with intuitive hunches, not so much the logic and the obvious kind of rational explanations, but more the kind of between the lines energy. And that could be applied to anything in your personal life or your professional life, of course, and relationships. Also, this sussing, this weighing up, this wondering could be related to something that is jointly held. So it's a jointly held property, monies, or it could be a jointly held idea or a jointly held feeling. Something that you share with somebody else. It could be an old contract or agreement. It could be something like that. So that's the sort of feel of where Mercury and Venus are. But because Venus is there, it could very much bring goodies, really. It could mean that, yes, this is a place of emotional depth for Venus, and you can feel quite touched by another or what you see or hear around you, but you can equally be very persuasive and sway somebody else's feelings. So say you were in a negotiation type situation, and it's it's kind of quite formal. You could apply the pressure in whatever way, even if it's just doing something humorous that somebody just laughs at. Like the lady that was trying to sell her car, and the guy who was interested in her car turned up a little bit early while she was putting it through the car wash, and it was convertible and she forgot to put the hood down, and he watched as she got absolutely soaked and was making frantic attempts to put the hood up, and because of that he said, "That's the best laugh I've had for years. I'll give you the full asking price." Obviously he had the money there extra in his back pocket, but so it could be something like that, I mean, they do say the shortest distance between two people is a laugh. I think that's probably true. Now, so negotiations could go in your favor with Venus here, or if it's not about that, it might be about you and somebody in relationship. Again, things going in your favor, or maybe it's to do with legacies or inheritances. It can be to do with various things and various scenarios. But the good news is that even though there will be quite a lot of chit chat, and this need to be intuitive, sensing your way forwards, holding that little lantern up in front of you, of your gut instinct, okay? And whatever's shared, whatever is borrowed, lent, things can tend to be ironed out, and just tip a little bit on the edge in your favor. Then from the 14th, both Mercury, and then from the 14th, Mercury moves, from the 17th, Venus moves. So the pair of them, except for 3 days in between, move into the next sector, which is the same sector as the sun, this very expansive, upbeat, enthusiastic sort of area that the sun was in up until the 19th. So just about as when Venus comes in there, 2 days later, the sun departs and goes into the next sector. So Mercury and Venus come into this area here. It could be about travel. It could be about joining up the dots. It could be about figuring things out that you only had a sense of before. It could be about meeting experts in their field, picking the brains of anybody around and finding out what you need from them, just getting the fuller picture. Whatever it's about for you, you get the fuller picture. You come out of this rather sort of introspective kind of gut instinct phase, and then it gets a lot clearer, I think. Mars is in a sector which emphasizes the practical side of bright ideas. Somebody else goes into the kitchen and is very creative with the cooking, and then they leave you the washing up. Or you do it to yourself. You're experimenting in the kitchen, or you're making something quite elaborate and lavish, and of course you're using loads of stuff, and then maybe the dishwasher breaks down if you're one of these people with a dishwasher, and then you have to do the washing up. So this is the area of having to do the washing up, or having to pick up the pieces, or it might be called the area of maintenance and repairs. So Mars is in that sector for an extremely long time this year. It's an unusual transit of Mars, and it will hop between this sector, which it will be in until early March, and the other sector, which is your opposite sign, Sagittarius, and then it will hop back again, and in fact it's between the two sectors until September. So you will get ever so good at doing practical things, and achieving a lot as you get your head around how to do the chore, deal with the technology, figure out, how, work with service providers, even work with people who are providing a service for you in some way as well, and you can get a lot done. It might be sort of tensions at times because that is the way of Mars, but a lot can get done if you keep your head on and you keep cool, calm, and as a friend of mine used to say, collective. But no, cool, calm, and collected. Okay, so achieve success. And even if it is a little bit kind of rocky sometimes, the path with daily duties, maintenance, repairs, or maybe it's not that, maybe it's to do with health matters. For some of you it could be. It's possibly going to be a mixture, really, but some of you it could be health related, either for yourself personally or with somebody around you. And again, even though sometimes you are questioning somebody else's approach or method, or solution, and there could be a little bit of a debate going on, it is a small price to pay if you do get your act together in the process, which you're very likely to do with Mars here for that long time, coming in and out between now and September. So anyway, back to Venus and Mercury, expanding your mind and you entertaining options outside of the box. As I say, this could be but actually both positions of Venus could be financially advantageous for you. So just, be aware of that. And then from the 19th, the solar energy theme moves into the next sector, leaving Venus and Mercury behind in this expansive area. And then this one is more about, the image you want to project, really focusing in on those targets, maybe having to deal more with officials, bureaucracy, possibly, and maybe parental type figures as well, and just being consistent and correct and responsible, as you go forwards there. But you've got a nice mix of things going on there. The long-term position of Saturn in your opposite sign, Sagittarius, that's an interesting one because we're going to get a lot of Mars in Sagittarius this year as well. So more on that when I come back to the monthlies later. I did make another video called The Overview of 2016 and the Astrological Overview of 2016. Yes, I know. I could have been more imaginative with the titles. However, they are two separate videos in which I mention a little bit about what it might feel like to have Mars in Scorpio and or Sagittarius in 2016. And Saturn is in your opposite sign. That's Sagittarius, of course, ultimately constructive. Many of you wanting to put a relationship on a firmer footing, many of you wanting to take a relationship more seriously, and that's the kind of theme with Saturn, is seriousness and being grown up and responsible. Not completely, but again, she loves her rules. She's quite traditional, but she's very reliable, and she likes to build a firm structure in whichever area she is. So if she's in the area of relationships, add it up. But also, if this can be for some relationships make or break, if the relationship has been kind of flickering like a dying battery for a long time, this could be the moment that decision is made. Anyway, in the meantime, with this long transit here, is until the end of December 2017, then you could, have to compromise more, because you are more aware of somebody else's needs, and you've got to be balancing your day, your schedule, your moods, your behaviors, your choices with theirs. And sometimes you will think, well, that's downright unreasonable, because the Saturn thing is very sneaky, really, because Saturn gets us to think about where we're coming from. And we can only do that if we have some worthy foe to bounce against. Sometimes it's even sneakier than that. Sometimes there isn't anybody, and we feel this real lack of having that right sounding board, that right mirroring coming at us from somebody else. You kind of get that feeling with certain special people in your life. You think, oh, I know you, the first time you meet. And you know that person is going to be an honest mirror or sounding board for you. There's just something absolutely instinctive that tells you that. Well, indeed, I can only speak for myself, and I've had those experiences. In fact, I can remember walking up to somebody one day in a big hall full of people doing all sorts of alternative therapies and sessions on things, and seeing a person way over the other side, and I just got straight up out of my seat, walked all the way across to her and said to her, "Excuse me, but should we know each other?" And she said, "I think we should." And actually there should be a video of me and her kind of sitting on the couch and having a chat, kind of a girly chat, which has just been put out around about the same time as this should be. And that's me chatting with Gail Elaine. So anyway, I digress. But you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? You get that feeling like you want to walk up to somebody. In that situation, I just did it, but sometimes you can't. You want to walk over to someone and say, almost like, we know each other, don't we? But should we know each other is maybe, just the next sort of step that you could take, which is not so kind of crazy, really. Some of you, anyway, will have this feeling like there is that lack. And this is the sneakiness of this great teacher, Saturn, who is very strict and stern with her teachings. But because we feel that aloneness, even in the company of others, actually, we then begin to reach much more strongly with more purpose for what we want and what we would prefer. And that is the way we grow. So through limitation and restriction, we reach into expansion. And when we get Jupiter, actually, you've got some good aspects at the moment. But when we get Jupiter into Libra, that might be interesting for you. And that'll be after September this year, I think. But it doesn't mean to say things aren't going to be interesting before September. I didn't mean to give that impression. Now, you Geminians born the 3rd to the 7th of June, or with 13 to 17 degrees rising, going to feel that energy the most this forecast. Jupiter's now in your home area. A great time for buying and selling. A great time for home improvements. making additions to your base of operations, expanding, or maybe there's more coming into your home base, or maybe it's not home, maybe you get more, maybe you get another base that you can take to get into the wider world, like a caravan, or maybe you stick a conservatory on, or maybe it's simply that you rearrange things, or maybe you just get access to a venue. It could be a venue, or somewhere that you prefer more often. You Geminians born from the 8th to the 13th of June, or 18 to 23 degrees rising, are going to feel that energy the most. And then finally Neptune going through your career area for so many years. Neptune doesn't really respond very well to ego type thinking in, my role I play in the world. Doesn't work very well there at all. Doesn't work with commercialism very well, but it works with anything that you're doing for career or professionally that comes from the heart. What you're known for, even if it's not your so-called career, you're coming from the heart. You're coming from your kindness, your compassion, your sort of like civic duty, if you like, but you really are into it. And it works very well with anything to do with volunteering, voluntary work, charity work, healing type work, spirituality, anything in the arts, anything in catering, actually, anywhere where you are kind of really behind and into from your child self, your heart self, what you're doing, and it's not just for commercial gain. That's when Neptune really tends to deliver very, very well. However, you must also remember to put your boundaries around yourself, because Neptune is very, very sort of wifty-wafty, foggy about boundaries. So you need a sort of real strong dose of Saturn coming in there, make those boundaries. And then things should go well. Those boundaries and that construct could be actually getting sort of seriously into training, or scheduling things better, just not being, all things to all people all the time. Having your private space is key, absolutely pivotal to this position of Neptune. Geminians born the 28th to the 31st of May, or with 7 to 10 degrees rising, are going to feel that energy the most this month, and of course it'll be affecting the whole sign for a very long time. And that's it. If you know your moon sign or your rising sign, listen to those, and also this material is written up on my website, DianaGarland.com. And I think that's it, and I'll see you the next time. This is a little afterword for Gemini. I forgot to mention a really nice aspect that's going on. That's Saturn to Uranus. And this is the energy of change and new beginnings. And it can mean things that you're not familiar with, or places or people. It can mean anything unconventional, which is a bit, not maybe what you were planning, but it brings in a breath of fresh air. And then you then you realize that this is something that you are very strongly attracted to, and then you want to work on it. And that's the Saturn bit. So Saturn means that you can work steadily on improvements, or an aspiration, or a sort of cherished hope, and actually it can really pay off. And this is going on for a while. So, and there's a few examples I could be giving here, but I'm sure you can figure it out. And then and it's particularly helpful actually for you Geminians, this one. And then early month, Mercury and Venus briefly conjunct Pluto and Capricorn, so conversations could be more profound or more meaningful, or you have to be more sensitive to someone, or careful, or they got to be more sensitive or careful around you in what they're saying and how they're coming across. But again, that persuasive quality is there, either to you or from you. So anyway, that was just a little afterword for you Geminians, and really that is the end now. I'll see you the next time.